A year ago, the UK's top supermarkets pledged that they would do their bit to combat one of the world's most pressing environmental problems, the plague that is throwaway plastic. But despite their promises, over the past 12 months, the problem has got even worse, with more than 900,000 tonnes of single-use plastic packaging being used in their stores. To put that in some perspective, that's almost the same weight as 14 of the Royal Navy's giant Queen Elizabeth II aircraft carriers.
Well, I think it's shocking that despite the unprecedented public attention to the plastic pollution crisis, the amount of plastic being used by the UK's biggest supermarkets is going up.
The full scale of the lack of progress made by most of Britain's top 10 supermarkets is laid bare in an Environmental Investigation Agency and Greenpeace report entitled Checking Out on Plastics Too. Apart from the 900,000 tonnes, there was another worrying finding.
The amount of plastic which is classed as widely recyclable has gone down rather than up, despite this being a major focus of industry attention.
One of the main problems facing our supermarkets is with plastic that encases well-known and popular branded goods produced by multinational manufacturers like Unilever, Heinz, Coca-Cola and Colgate.
Branded goods can represent between 40 and 60% of a supermarket's overall amount of single-use plastic packaging, but compared to their own brand goods, companies have less control over these. We encourage supermarkets to follow the lead of Tesco, who has said that they're going to reserve the right to delist any product which contains excessive or non-recyclable plastic packaging.
Perhaps the most astonishing revelation concerns so-called bags for life. They're supposed to encourage constant reuse of the same carrier bag until it falls apart, when it would be replaced for free. In the past year, 1.5 billion, yes, 1.5 billion were sold. To put that in some perspective, that's 54 per household in the UK. A bag for life has become a bag for a week. Sales have gone up by 26% in a year. Iceland's went up tenfold to 34 million.
I think it's clear from this that customers are using them as a single-use option. Clearly the 5 to 10p charge is not enough to incentivise customers to stop using these just once. Bags for life actually contain more plastic than a single-use carrier did, so they're having more of an environmental impact if people are just using them once.
Supermarkets have made a commitment to phase out non-recyclable plastic. But our survey found that despite what customers may be led to believe, when it comes to their own brand plastic wrapping, measured per item, it appears that 2/3 can't be recycled at all. Then there's the issue of substitution.
Substitution is when you're replacing one single-use material, such as plastic, for another, such as paper or aluminium. And the problem with this is that those materials also have an environmental footprint, and there'll be unintended consequences if companies use this as an approach. With forestry, obviously there were concerns around deforestation, and for aluminium there's all sorts of problems associated with the mining process.
Some supermarkets are starting to do something about getting rid of plastics altogether, with pilot projects and trials. Waitrose was one of the few companies that actually reduced what's called its plastic footprint. Like Morrison's, it's introduced some package-free initiatives and refilling stations for, among other things, coffee, rice and pasta. But much more could be done.
Well, I hope over the next 12 months, companies will look to drastically reduce the amount of single-use packaging of all materials and move into packaging-free and reuse solutions. We hope to see the amount of plastic packaging, which is classed as widely recycled, going up rather than down. We hope to see companies tighten up the ambition of their reduction targets. We hope to see sales of bags for life drop off.
Like last year, we've ranked Britain's leading supermarkets to gauge the progress they've made over the past 12 months towards their ambitious plastic reduction targets.
Waitrose claimed first place, just in front of Morrison's, who retained the number 2 spot.
Sainsbury's, showing the most improvement, moved from the bottom of the table last year to 3rd place this.
Marks & Spencer held on to 4th position.
The Co-op moved up 2 places to claim 5th.
Tesco dropped 1 to take 6th place.
However, Iceland slipped down from the very top of our leaderboard to 7th place, largely because of a lack of progress finding packaging-free and reuse solutions.
And the German discounters Lidl and Aldi, together with Asda, take the bottom slots of the table, due in part for failing to incorporate reduction when growing their businesses.
So, what do we want the supermarkets to do?
These trials now need to be scaled up to be nationwide in order to meaningfully reduce the amount of single-use plastic. And we also encourage the adoption of reuse targets, such as Morrison's has done, to ensure long-term progress. In addition, we encourage companies to increase the ambition and the scale of their reduction targets to ensure that they're also covering branded goods.
There's some way to go. Here's one last plague of plastic statistic to think about. Last year, by their own admission, just 8 of Britain's top supermarkets churned out 58 billion pieces of plastic.
Our customers are at the heart.
And there were other major retailers, including online giant Ocado, who declined to take part in our survey. So our plastic mountain is certainly much bigger than that.
In order to level the playing field between the companies, it's really important that plastic reduction strategies are backed up with binding government targets on reduction and reuse. Our current relationship with single-use plastic is harming ecosystems and communities around the world. Plastic pollutes throughout its entire life cycle, from extraction through to consumption and end of life, when it's either disposed of or can leak into the natural environment. And that's a concern for you and future generations.